Hello everybody, how are you? I'm Chef Rob, and thank you to the Mastic Merchants Library for having me tonight. We're going to make some salmon burgers with Fuji apples in it. They're really tasty. You have to try this, especially now that the apples are getting really good. Local apples, the upstate apples. There's so many varieties out there. And what I suggest, use your favorite apple that it will work in this, okay? I'll go over some of the apples in a minute. I am just going to turn on this burner. I am just going to add a few things to this. And with this, I want to put in some apple cider. Apple cider, if you got some of the local apple cider, that would work really good. There's one out there that, if you ever go to Trader Joe's, they have a spiced apple cider. Could be a little strong for this, but if you kind of just add a little bit less and you like those fall flavors in there, it goes really nice with this dish. So I am just going to put in some apple cider. I am using a half cup of apple cider. My son Chris is here and he is filming. He should be really fresh tonight because he's back from Vermont. So you know, he had a lot of time off, so lucky man. And a tablespoon and a half of apple cider vinegar. Make sure you use the apple cider vinegar. Really, really important to use that. Just about a tablespoon and a half. Yes, Chris says we have a question.
Emily Profeta said, hello, hubby went fishing for salmon in Lake Ontario in August. Then she said, so I want to make a different dish.
Well, the fun doesn't stop at your house, does it? Wow, that is great. Oh, so you got some really good salmon. So I hope you make this and let me know how it came out for you. I'll give you some ideas with this, and I even have another salmon recipe. I'll give it to you throughout this class too. I have my apple cider and my apple cider vinegar in here. I'm going to add about a half tablespoon of curry powder. Okay, if you're not a curry fan, you can tone it down just a little bit, but you do need a little bit of spice in there. So I am a curry fan, so I'm going to add about the half tablespoon of the curry right in here. I'm going to add a little bit of kosher salt and black pepper. Just a little pinch of each. And then I'm also going to put in just a little bit of shallot. Shallot, make sure they're nice and firm, so that means they're nice and fresh. Okay, I'm using one medium shallot. This is going to make two really nice size salmon apple burgers, or you can make about 5-6 sliders out of these. So if you're having company, little appetizers, they're really good like that. So I am just going to cut this shallot. This one actually is a little large, so I'm only going to use half of this one.
She asks, what other spice can I use instead of curry?
Instead of curry, let's see. I would say maybe a little cumin, but maybe half of the amount. It'll give it a little smoky flavor to it. That could work. Let me see what else. Tarragon would be too strong. I would say more so of the fall type spices, where if you just put a dot of cinnamon and just a little bit of nutmeg and in with the apple cider, will give it a nice little fall taste to it. Chop these shallots really good. Okay. And then I'm going to grate some Fuji apple into this. I want to bring this to a boil. And then I'm going to reduce it down. And what happens when you reduce it down is it really intensifies the flavor. Okay. So I'm just going to peel this apple. So, Fuji apple, that one, something got away from that apple. It wasn't that good. This one, nice and fresh. Always keep the apples in the refrigerator. Never get the apples that are outside the supermarket. You'll get some of the markets now that'll put them in that big bin outside the store. buy the ones inside because they stay at one temperature only, and you want them to be as cool as possible. And they can last months too in the refrigerator. But if you were to just put them in your house in a week or so, they'll start getting a little mealy and a little mushy, and they won't be that great. So I'm taking one Fuji apple. I'm going to do it right over my pan right here, and I'm just going to shred this right into this mixture. And while we have this boiling and then reducing, I'm going to puree up some salmon, okay? If anybody has any questions, please let Chris know and he will read them out to me. My Facebook page is Simply Creative Chef Rob, so if you want to see some different classes, go to that page and you will see all different recipes. Tomorrow night at Hicksville, you'll really like this one. I am doing a burrito bowl in a spaghetti squash, in a fresh spaghetti squash, like a burrito bowl. Really tasty. And then a crustless apple crumb pie. The crumbs on there are really, really good. Okay, so I am just putting that apple in there. If you can see, it is starting to boil. It will get nice and thick together, okay? But it's going to taste really good. Okay, in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to take 3/4 of a pound and I want to pulse it in my Cuisinart. So just so I don't have fish hands, I am going to take this fish right here. 3/4 of a pound to a pound would be perfect for this recipe. Okay. Okay. Put it in the Cuisinart. I'm just going to drop this fillet right in here. You could always give it a rough chop, but if you just put this right on here and then hit it a couple times, you want it almost where there's no chunks left, okay? Almost like where it's kind of pureed. Okay, now I reserved on the side a small little piece of salmon. Now what I do with this is just drop this in here and I leave some chunks because you do want to have some chunks of the salmon in there as well. But having it pureed too will make it form just like a nice burger would. Okay, so I'm just going to get this little salmon bowl out of here. Any questions, Chris?
Nope, don't see any.
Okay. I'm just giving this a pulse just a couple times. And that should be good. Yep. So you have it pureed and then you have some nice little chunks in here. Always put this blade somewhere safe. Okay, and we're just going to scoop all of this salmon to one side of this bowl right here. I'm just going to reduce this down here. And now I am just going to add this salmon into this bowl here. Okay, while this is still cooking, I'm going to add some mayonnaise to this. I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise. I'm using the Hellmann's mayonnaise. The other mayonnaise I would suggest to use is Duke's. That is a really good mayonnaise. Actually, Lidl has that. So if you have a Lidl by you, they sell it. Okay, and now a 1/4 cup of the panko. Panko is the Japanese breadcrumbs. Either the seasoned or the plain ones would work really well. Okay, this will just help it kind of bind and almost like if you were forming a crab cake. So just about a 1/4 cup. You don't want too much of it because otherwise it will tend to get a little dry. Okay, this is reduced down nicely. So I am just going to let this on the side. I'll put it right over here, up like that. You want it to get nice and cool. Now, I did this class actually earlier today, so I'm not sure if anybody is watching it for the second time. If you are, if you made them, I hope they came out good for you. I'm just going to get rid of this out of the way. So when I made it earlier, I made the same amount right here, just like this. Now, you want it to be cooler. You can work with it with your hands, okay? Easier. So I am going to take some of this apple mixture that I made earlier that's cool, and I'm going to add it to the salmon, the panko, and the mayonnaise. You want to form these into about 2 half-inch thick patties, okay? So let's just get this mixed up good. I am going to add this mixture to it right now. Now, by boiling it down, like I said before, it really intensifies, so it has a really good flavor to it. I am going to turn this burner on now, and I'm going to start browning the salmon. Okay. I want to just mix this up really good. Okay, that's good. You want it to be a little loose because you want it to be moist, because the salmon, the breadcrumb can be a little dry. So with the apple cider in there, the apple cider vinegar, it loosens it up a little bit and has some moisture to it. So I'm just going to put in about 2 tablespoons of butter in the pan. I want to get this medium high, and then I want to start browning it. So while that is starting to melt, what I'm going to do is just form this into little patties. If you could see, it has kind of a loose texture, but it's still forming really nicely. Now, like I said, you can make 2 really nice sized ones. 3, a little bit less, 6 sliders, it will work really well.
Melissa Lynn said, "We miss you."
Thank you so much. I miss you guys too. Let's get back there soon, right? I hope so. We always have our Monday nights at the Mastic Shirley Library. Once a month. We always have such a good time. We do family class. I do a family class there at 4:30. And then I have the adults come in at 7 o'clock. So, and always keep an eye out at your library, because your library does such wonderful things for the community. And they're always constantly adding new programs, so really watch it. I'm doing some family programs coming up. I know I'm doing apple brownies there, so watch that one. That one is on a YouTube video. Okay. And then I think I have a cookie workshop in December too. Okay, so that is nice and melted now. I am going to drop my salmon burgers in the hot butter. The butter will give it some nice flavor on the outside of it. You want to get it a little crisp and then enjoy it. I enjoy them on a potato roll. The potato rolls are so good. So I am making 3 of these. Again, about 1/2 inch thick. After you make this mixture, you could always freeze it, and it would be perfect to take out whenever you want to have a salmon burger. If you wanted to grill the salmon burger, sometimes they sell the frozen ones that you can throw on the grill. Okay, you would have to tighten it up a little more with some more breadcrumb. Okay, but when you just pan sear it like this, you don't need to do that. Now, I'm just going to get out the potato roll. Now, I always suggest you take a little bit of soft butter, and you can add it to this and just do the roll like this. You can even brown it right into the pan if you want. You could put mayonnaise on this. Tartar sauce is good. Now, for anybody out there that might be a cilantro fan, you could take to the mixture some potato chips would be great with this, okay? But if you can make your own, why not make your own? So I am just going to reduce this down a little bit. And I just want to show everybody what I like to do is take a Yukon Gold potato, slice it right, nice circles just like that. I just drizzle just a little bit extra virgin olive oil on it, just a little bit.
We have a question from Emily.
Sure.
She asked, if you do not want to use butter, can I use just oil?
Well, yes. You get a little better flavor with the butter, but the oil will certainly brown it nicely. Yes, it would be fine. Okay, I am just going to flip these over so you can see how it gets a really nice golden brown crust to it. Perfect. And if you have little hot spots in the pan, you can always kind of move them to different areas so this way they cook nice and evenly. Okay, so I have a little bit of oil on here. I'm going to put a pinch of kosher salt and a little bit of fresh ground black pepper on it. And then I'm just going to take my glove. You can take a little pastry brush. Just take that little olive oil, kosher salt, black pepper on it. And now just top it with a little bit of fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Fresh grated Parmesan cheese, it will bake right into these. And they taste so, so delicious. You could always change this. You can grate some fresh Asiago cheese too. If you put these slices on like a silicone baking mat or parchment paper, do it on a 400 oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And what happens is the potato will start to shrink a little bit, it'll get a little smaller because it's getting nice and crisp. And the cheese actually just bakes right into the potato. And they are really good. I see Chris, he's eyeing my salmon burgers. He's saying, Dad, don't forget them. They're good. In the days when I used to work in the restaurant, it would certainly be easy to forget them and when you were so busy in that. But now when it's just something like this, you usually got it under control.
See, I don't have to say anything. I just have to look at it.
He just gives me the eye, like, Dad, watch. Okay, so we have our potato roll here. And now, earlier today, I baked these same potatoes here with the Parmesan cheese on it. And they come out really hot, crisp, and has a nice coating of Parmesan cheese on there. Okay? And they are really, really delicious. Now, these salmon burgers are done. Don't forget, if you like cilantro, add some cilantro to the mixture. If you don't like cilantro, don't do anything, okay? Or parsley, I should say. Parsley would be fine. And now I'm just going to leave these on the side here. A little slice of lemon right on this would be great. But this is the way it looks, and it's a really nice fall dish, especially if you like salmon, you like apples. Right now, if you go to the supermarkets, you see some of the farm stands, you're starting to see some of the upstate, the local apples coming out. First one you always see in September is like the Ginger Gold. Okay, very popular now. It reminds me of the Granny Smith, but it's a little more, it has a balance of sweet and tart. But if you leave it on the counter, that tart goes away and it just keeps, it gets sweeter and sweeter, but it gets a little mealy. Again, keep it in the refrigerator. Once it gets cold out, you can leave them in your garage, anything like that. Maybe like the October weather, okay? But right now, we're not ready for that. Okay, now, if you like a little bit of like an apple relish on top of the salmon burger, when this is really cold and you have a little extra of this, You just take this and you top it right on top of here, and this is like an apple relish that would be on top there. And it's really flavorful. Anybody any questions, Chris?
Nope.
No? Okay. So I am going to slide some of these things over. One of the things with the shallots, if you don't have shallots and you only have red onion would be a perfect substitute for this. So you could do that, okay? So that would be fine. All right, it is time to make the roasted butternut squash with the tangerine rosemary vinaigrette. That's a lot to say. Wow. But it's very easy, very quick, but it's really a nice dish to put out on your Thanksgiving table. I am just going to slide these potatoes on this little tray. See, I could just put these right on this tray right here, right into a 400 oven for about 30 minutes, and they are going to come out nice and crisp and hot, and cheese baked into them, and they'd be really good.
Rob Carrillo said, nice job, thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, get this out of the way. Okay, butternut squash. Butternut squash definitely has to be my favorite out of the spaghetti squash, the acorn squash. I think it has the most flavor.
Profriend X, I missed the beginning. Was it fresh salmon?
Was it fresh salmon? Yes, absolutely. You can get the fresh salmon everywhere. They have the farm raised. They have the wild salmon. The clubs have it. They're about $6.99, $7.99 a pound, which is a great deal for salmon. And all the supermarkets have it, and of course our fish stores, the local fish stores. Try to go there, support them.
Donna X, do you ever use an air fryer?
Do I ever use an air fryer? Yes. I actually have one right over here on the side here. Yeah, hold on. Chris will zoom in on the food right here, and I will show you it. Yes, I do.
Aunt Prudy said it looks so good.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aunt Prudy. Everybody, this is the air fryer, okay? Cooks it so quick. You could put these potatoes in there. You could put butternut squash in there. We do an oven-baked fried chicken in this air fryer. Maybe I should do a program with air fryers, because a lot of people around the holidays, they get these and they don't know how to really use them, or, oh, do I really want it or not? Could do a little program with gadgets and things like that, right? But this thing, it comes in handy if you don't want to heat up your whole oven, especially during those summer months. This is really perfect. And it gets hot instantly. So they sell all different sizes of it.
Donna said that would be awesome.
Oh, okay. I will work on a program. It wouldn't probably be until like a January type program, just because the libraries, we have booked every type of program that we are going to do November and December, October, November, December. So just give me a little time and I will get something with an air fryer going.
Emily said, I use mine all the time. Makes great fries.
Makes great fries. Yes.
And then Rob Carrillo said, air fryer, pressure cooker lessons would be great. And then Steve Duncan said, a program on gadgets sound great.
A gadget one, yeah. So
like the knife sharpening and...
The knife sharpening. I got a great knife sharpener. I could just keep bringing things in from the kitchen right now. We can go till 2 in the morning if you want to do that. Chris doesn't want to hold the phone till 2 in the morning.
Just pay me more.
He says just pay him some more.
Donna said that's okay. I'll still be watching.
Thank you. But I will work on those gadgets, okay? I'll try to bring them into my programs as well. Okay, the butternut squash. This just has so much flavor in this. You just want to take these little seeds out, okay? This can be very tough to cut up, okay? Actually, you could take a potato peeler and do the skin on the outside. And I was actually doing that in my first class, and my potato peeler instantly just broke on me. It's never done that, but You really have to get into the skin to make sure you don't have any of the green bitterness on it. So what I have been doing, and I do have more potato peelers, but I want to show you, if you have a very sharp knife, you can just kind of skin it just like this. You can actually just take this little end off. By taking that little end off, now it's not going to wobble on me, okay? Just kind of slide it along here. You don't want to lose any of the squash. Now, for you folks that don't want a chance getting cut, which I don't blame you, they do sell the squash already cut up, already into cubes. Typically, the squash right now is about 99 cents a pound. If you see it $1.49 a pound, look around, because it's definitely, you can get it cheaper right now, especially all the way up to Thanksgiving. And now will be the best time, now up till Thanksgiving, to get the squash, because it's going to be turning over. People are going to be using them. They're going to be making dinners with them. So it will be nice and fresh. Just keep it nice and cool in your basement, something like that, and it will stay fresh a long time. Okay, so I'm just cutting this. Cut this little bit of skin off right here. And now I just have some beautiful butternut squash. So I am just going to make some cubes just like this. And now about 1-inch pieces. Okay, doesn't have to be like that. It could be thinner, but you can just reduce the time. And I'm just going to put this on this baking pan right here. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of extra virgin olive oil onto the butternut squash. About 2 tablespoons is good enough. A little bit of kosher salt. Gotta have our kosher salt.
And the black pepper.
And black pepper, yes. I know, somebody called me on it the other day. They said, you didn't use black pepper today. I had a dish that I didn't need any pepper. And now, just give this a nice toss, just like this. Roasted butternut squash is so good. Now what I want to do is, I want to take some fresh rosemary. The fresh rosemary will give it a nice flavor. Rosemary and like chicken, a roast chicken, goes so good. Put some on the inside with some fresh lemons. Just take it off just like that. When I used to be a personal chef, we used to have this big rosemary bush, and it was right in the kitchen with me. We had a greenhouse, and when I was doing it, I'd just go over and I'd pick some fresh rosemary. Boy, I wish everything was like that right here. Okay.
You could pick from the tree.
I could pick from the tree, yes. So I'm just going to chop this up really good. So I'm using about 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of the fresh rosemary. You're going to bake this, or I should say roast this, in a 400 oven for about 30 minutes. The size of this right here would be 30 minutes to get it nice and tender. Okay, sprinkle it all over the butternut squash. Make sure that the butternut squash is laying all flat, because if some are high, some are flat, they're going to cook uneven. Don't leave them next to each other. Don't let them be piled on top of each other. Just have a big enough pan for this. 400 oven. You want it to be fork tender, okay? Now, I baked some of these earlier today, and you want the knife to go right through it. So if you can see, the knife goes right through it, okay, and it will hold it, but it's not going to fall apart, okay? So let me take this here. I'm actually going to kind of decorate the salad, and then we're going to make the dressing for it. So I have some fresh baby spinach right here, okay? And I am just going to take some of the butternut squash and put it around this beautiful local spinach.
Steve Duncan asks, what's the difference between baking and roasting?
Baking and roasting. You know, when you're putting it in a 400 oven, and as I'm saying, kind of like to do it for about 30 minutes, you're really doing the same thing. But the roasting, if you're doing a chicken, I like to put the convection oven on, and the air just circulates all around it, and it's roasting it. Roasting is good for a chicken. When you're baking and you're doing like scones or something like that, you would put the oven on bake temperature. So it's a different air circulation that goes throughout the oven like that. Okay, that should look pretty nice to everybody. Now I'm just going to sprinkle on here a little bit of the dried cranberries. The dried cranberries, not craisins. You can use craisins, but they have a lot more sugar in it. This has a little bit more tart to it. So I am just going to sprinkle some of these dried cranberries. You can put as many, I put about a 1/4 cup on a salad like this. This salad would feed about 4 people, okay? Now I'm just going to take some of these little tangerines or mandarin oranges. You know, you can even use the canned mandarin oranges, or you can even use the navel oranges. Whatever ones you like goes on this salad really, really well. So I am just going to peel a couple of these. You can use up to 4 of these on here. But what I would do is I would use 3 to start, and then the 4th one we use to juice and put in the dressing, okay? Now everybody, some of my classes, again, go to my Facebook page, Simply Creative Chef Rob, and you will see all the different classes I have coming up this week. We have a lot of good ones. On Friday night, I have a Harvest Apple Brownies, and that is on Zoom, and that one is at the Bethpage Public Library, and that is at 7 o'clock. And then on Saturday morning at the Islip Public Library, I'm doing a chocolate chip cookie pizza. So if you like chocolate chip cookies, it's a pizza, but you could always make them into minis if you want. So let me just take some of these mandarin oranges or tangerines, either one, and put them throughout the salad. And it just has fall all over this salad. If you wanted to put some toasted almonds, toasted walnuts, pecans, it would go perfect with this. If you wanted to have a cheese on this one, what I would actually suggest is either a goat cheese or a blue cheese crumbled up on here. So depends on your taste which one you would really like. Okay. Let's see, what am I missing on this? I got to make some dressing now. So just a little bit olive oil, just a couple tablespoons of olive oil. You just need a little hint of it. Okay, 2 tablespoons of that. A little bit of kosher salt and black pepper, of course, right?
Your son asks, what's the difference between a chocolate chip cookie and a chocolate chip cookie pizza?
One is large just like this, and then the others you can make into little mini ones. You could probably get about 24 out of the dough that I would make Saturday morning. But if you like one really giant one and you want to cut it into pizza strips, it'd be perfect. If you were having a pizza night, I would say make that chocolate chip cookie pizza and cut it into pizza strips, and it just kind of goes with the theme. Okay. A little bit of fresh ground black pepper.
And Profran said, how about some beets?
Who said that?
Profran.
Said, how about some beets?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Beets are good. I am actually going to start using some beets in some of my classes because this is the perfect time to use them. So yes, I will be all over the beets. So right in here we have our extra virgin olive oil, kosher salt, black pepper. Now I'm just going to take one of these tangerines. I am just going to split it right in half.
Emily Profeta said, I am growing horseradish.
Emily, you are the best. That is so good. Fresh horseradish is just so good. Did you ever make the red mashed potatoes and put horseradish in there and then like serve like a roast beef with gravy or something? It's unbelievable. Horseradish is so good. If you haven't, I know Emily will by tomorrow night. I just know it. I just know it. Say hello to your husband and your son too, please.
Yeah, she asked, what can I do with it?
Yeah, absolutely that. And Chris, remind me in a minute. I'm going to finish this dressing, then I'm going to go on to something that you could do with the horseradish. Okay, take some of this. Look at the juice in here. These are really, really good. If you are from Long Island, I actually got these at Stop and Shop, and they have been so, so good. So you're going to squeeze a whole tangerine in here.
She said just made radish.
Just made radish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So I will give you an idea in a minute. Take this dressing here, whisk it up really good. Now to me, I think the way this dressing is good enough. If you wanted to change it and sweeten it up a little bit, you can add maybe a half a tablespoon of honey or a little sugar. Or since my son was just in Vermont, a little hint of Vermont maple syrup that he just brought home. That would go good in this dressing as well. Just take it, drizzle it over this salad, just like this. And remember, you could put nuts on this. You could put the cheese on here and change it. You could toss it around if you wanted to. I want to leave it like that because it just looks beautiful.
ProFran said, I know it must taste great.
Thank you so much. So let me put this out here and put our salmon burger out here as well. So a potato roll. Don't forget, once our mixture has cooled, if we want to take a little of this and just put it right on top, it's like an apple relish right on top. A little curried apple relish. It's really, really good.
Emily said looks yummy, and Donna said that salad looks perfect.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to answer the horseradish, and then somebody had a question earlier. Some food. Oh, I was a salmon recipe. So I'll start with the salmon recipe because you asked it way, way long ago when I was dealing with salmon earlier. Just take a piece of salmon fillet, a little kosher salt and black pepper, put it right on top, a little Dijon mustard on top of the salmon, and then take a little bit of the panko with a little lemon zest, olive oil, kosher salt and black pepper, and mix it up together and pack it right on top of the salmon with the Dijon mustard on there. And just bake it in the oven for, it's about a 375 oven, but it depends on how thick the salmon is. Sometimes it's really high, sometimes you might get the end. So I don't want to tell you how long, but you'll know when it is done, okay? That is a really good salmon recipe. I have a YouTube video out there that some of the libraries have up, and it has a maple mustard glaze over some salmon. So you can look at that too. Go to a lot of the libraries all over Long Island, and they have a lot of my YouTube videos up. Plain Edge has a lot up. Also Comsawag has a lot up as well. Okay. Brentwood, them too. A lot of others. Deer Park as well. Horseradish. The one, like I was saying, with the red potatoes, you can make a nice mashed potatoes with that, okay? Being fresh, it's going to be very strong, so just be careful you don't overpower it, okay? The other is, if you take some regular breadcrumbs, a little bit of butter, and a little fresh grated horseradish, and you pack that onto some like swordfish or salmon or even a chicken breast, you pack that on there and that is going to taste so delicious. Okay, you can even, the fish, a lot of times they will take a mayonnaise base and they will put it on top of the swordfish or salmon, and then you could pack that right on top of it, and the mayonnaise gives it a little more moisture too as well. Another class that I am doing this Friday, it's at 1 o'clock. It is on Facebook, and it's at the Elwood Public Library. I know some of you may have seen it, some of you haven't. It's the pork tenderloin, and it has sun-dried tomatoes, mozzarella, and spinach in it. So it is a pork tenderloin stuffed with all those goodies in it, and then I'll be doing other dishes with it as well. Next week, I believe it's on Wednesday, I'm at the Bradford, Pennsylvania Library, and it's at 2 in the afternoon, and you are allowed to go to that one. So look up the Bradford, Pennsylvania Library, and we will be doing pumpkin pie scones. So if you want to make them with us, you can, because the recipe will be out there and you can get all your supplies ahead of time. If not, just watch it and then you make them at another time. But it is definitely something that you would want to make for Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving morning, anything like that. Okay? Yes, Chris?
Emily said, thank you. You are giving me great ideas.
Thank you, Emily. Yep, I try to. I can't always deliver, but I try to deliver. Let's see. Anybody else, any other questions out there?
No, I don't see any.
No? Well, another one that I have coming up. This one, if you want to write down, if you go to my Facebook page again, Simply Creative Chef Rob, you will see my lineup for the week. And then every Sunday night, Chris and I sit down and we put down our whole list for the week. Now, on October 12th, I believe it's Columbus Day, at 6:30 on Facebook. It's the North Trails Public Library. I'm doing a stuffed acorn squash. Just happen to have one handy. I don't know. I have an air fryer handy. It's unbelievable. And I'm stuffing this with apples, cranberries, walnuts, and then it has all the different fall spices. It's really delicious. Again, it's the North Trails Public Library. Yes?
Susan Christensen said, thank you, Rob and Chris.
Always so nice, Susan. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you again. Can't wait to see you. The one thing about butternut squash, acorn squash, you always gotta put something a little special on it or in it, because acorn squash is pretty flat tasting. If you ever scooped it out and tasted it, it's pretty plain, just like pumpkin. Pumpkin needs that cinnamon, that nutmeg, that little extra kick to dress it up, okay? So when you buy these, look up some different recipes, but when you try that fall one that I'm gonna do on, when is it? October 12th, on Monday. And that's at 6:30, the North Trails Public Library. You will absolutely make that one, and you will make it for Thanksgiving, I promise you. I actually had it one night as a snack. I told my wife, I said, I never had acorn squash as a snack, because it was filled with apples, cranberries, walnuts, cinnamon, nutmeg. It was, yes, Chris?
Steve Duncan said, Bethpage seems to be only open to residents. Pat Carroll said, thank you for all your ideas. Emily Profeta said, I'm making the patties this weekend.
I know you are. That's great. If anybody doesn't have any other questions, I want to say thank you to the Mastic Shirley Marich's Library for having me month after month for about 8 years now in person, and now month after month live. Okay, and we're doing this virtually, and it's funny, a lot of people are able to come back and watch these videos that maybe with weather, when it's bad weather, wouldn't go to the library. So we're going to be doing these for a long, long time. You know, from what I understand, these videos are here to stay, but in person, hopefully we will be back as well. So sometimes we'll be recording at the library. So everybody have a great night. Debbie, if you're watching, or if you're watching this at a different time, you're a pleasure to work with. Thank you. And yes, Chris, we got something?
Donna said, thank you, love your classes, and Emily said, have a great week.
Thank you. Everybody else, you have a great week as well, and I hope to see you for Hicksville tomorrow night at 6:30. The apple crumb pie that's crustless, and then a burrito bowl in a spaghetti squash. Okay? So everybody have a great night. Thank you, and stay safe. Bye-bye.